Welcome to the Weekends with Bernie podcast. I'm Tom Everett Scott, taking you on a father and son journey through a season of fantasy football. Bernie Gallagher is a retired sports reporter and bartender, teaming up with his son, Jason, a composer in Los Angeles. They will attempt to conquer the league I created. They will have to overcome injuries, trash talk, heartbreaking loss, and that's just between the two of them. Join us as we talk fathers and football on Weekends with Bernie. Welcome to Weekends with Bernie. I'm Tom Everett Scott. This is episode 1. I'm here with my lovely co-hosts, Jason Gallagher.
Hello.
And Bernie Gallagher.
Hello.
They're a father and son, and they're going to co-manage this team. And I can't wait to talk about this, guys. Are you excited?
It's going to be great. Dad, excited?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know about that confidence, but yes.
As we go along, we'll learn whether that yes was very excited, not very excited.
Or sarcasm.
We'll get to know him.
Before we get started, let's just make it clear we're out there in the world. On Instagram, we're at Weekends with Bernie Podcast.
Wonderful.
On Twitter, we're at WW Bernie Podcast.
Sounds great.
And on YouTube, it's Weekends with Bernie Podcast as well.
Great. So if you want to reach out to us,
find us there and tell us that we stink or that we smell great.
later on this episode, we're going to talk to a couple guests. We're going to talk to actor Michael Kelly, writer Timothy Brady. They're also co-managers of a team in our league.
Actor Michael Kelly, you'll know from House of Cards, Jack Ryan. Tim Brady wrote the movie All Square, which Michael stars in along with you.
Yes.
We'll talk about that as well.
Yes, we will. Don't want to give it away, but we're all somehow involved in that movie.
That's correct. Here's the deal. Bernie was in the league, had his own team, and it was called Bernie's Boobs. And he decided to... Dad, you wanted to quit the league this year, right?
I wanted to retire. I did it on the advice of my doctor.
What did he say? What was the advice?
He said I was being overwhelmed by the immense amount of idiotic text messages I would receive every week.
From the rest of the league?
From the rest of the league, yes.
Then we dragged him back in to team up with me. So he is my partner now.
All right, well, sorry that we went against the advice of your doctor. Bernie, you grew up...
in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Okay, what year were you born?
41.
Okay, you were born at what hospital?
Mercy. No.
We just went through these questions because we had to fill out like a security question thing online.
Oh, really?
For like Social Security. Yeah, and it was like, what hospital were you born at? So now anybody can log into his account.
I love it.
Yeah.
And so the whole point of this weekend with Bernie, weekends meaning football, Sunday, fantasy football, actually. And this is all about tracking and talking about Bernie and Jason's fantasy football team, which they have together for the first time in 30 years.
It must be about 30 years.
Dad, why don't you tell the story of our fantasy football team, where it was and what your role was?
Took place members of people who used to come to the restaurant.
So you used to manage a restaurant called Sidewalker.
Sidewalker, yes.
Okay, and what kind of restaurant was that?
Seafood, everything.
Mm-hmm. And what was your role?
I just managed it. I bartended.
And come football time, what would happen there?
For some reason, I was elected to run the damn thing, so I kept track. And in those days, without the computers, and there may have been computers, I'm not sure, but getting information,
They were large. The computers back then were large, like as big as a
but
car.
to keep track of it, and, today you just go online and it's automatically inputted into for your results and points.
How was it done back then?
Back then, I would buy the newspaper on Monday or Tuesday, go through each box score, find out what every player did, turn it into fantasy points, print it up, tack it up on the wall so the people would come in and see who won, lost, and did whatever.
Yeah, you couldn't even email it to people. Like, nobody would know the scores
No,
until you came in.
they had to come into the restaurant, usually on a Saturday night or something like that, and take a look to see where they were and who they were playing. We used to hold a draft in the restaurant wasn't open. It was early, and we used to go to the dining room. Everybody sat around in the booth and everything, and you hold the draft that day.
There were some savory characters at that restaurant, though, weren't there?
Let's talk about those guys.
No, that's not.
Why? Because they are potentially hiding out in witness protection program, or
It's possible.
okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
What were their occupations?
So not only were you involving your child and gambling at an early age, you were also getting him into a fantasy football league with known criminals.
I guess you could say that. Yeah, but they were nice people.
They were nice.
They were great. They would pull up to the place with open their trunk and have a bunch of furs in the back, right, Dad?
Right, furs, weather coats, and people would come around and purchase them. Yeah, it's nice.
Ever since you were a kid, you wanted to be a gangster?
Ever since.
Okay.
I remember one funny story. It was a Monday night football game. Most of the people were around the bar watching the game. And the guy with the car full of clothes had parked outside. And an officer of the law walked in and went up to him and says, "Sir, we want to see what's inside your car."
Uh-oh.
And the guy turned to the officer and said, "You'll have to wait till halftime."
Oh, my gosh. So,
So the officer turned around and went outside and waited.
wow, that's power.
You got to wait till halftime, you know.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Marenka.
Sam Marenko. I
Sam
mean, what a
Marenko.
gangster name, right?
That is, yeah.
Hey, Sammy Marenko over
nice,
here
yeah.
selling furs.
Did he
out
have
of
a
the back of his
nickname? Was
truck.
he like Sammy the Bull Marenka or anything
No,
like that?
no, that's no.
But Buffalino lived in our hometown.
Oh,
Right, yes. I
Right.
remember getting a haircut with him once.
He cut hair?
No, he didn't. I was
Oh.
in the second. There's two seats. There's a good friend of ours that had a little barber shop there, and he used to cut his hair, and I used to get my hair cut there.
That seems like a dangerous spot. Like, I feel like barber
Yeah.
shops are often the place where you get the old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember there was a guy in New York City that got it in the barber shop, right?
Yeah.
you get that towel put on your face for the
Yeah.
steam thing. I'd be nervous every time.
Right.
You should- anyway,
Russell
that was-
Buffalino is well known.
Russell Buffalino. That was the beginning of our fantasy football lives together. He got me into gambling early. There was a poker machine at that restaurant as well that he allowed me to play.
Wait, and this is the
And-
80s, 40 years ago.
Yeah,
You were a child.
I was.
Playing
He
a
was around- he was
poker-
around 15 or 16 years old.
So, yeah, maybe 13, 14, 15, somewhere in there.
No, it was
Well, let's see. It was 91 when the Giants won the Super Bowl. We're Giants fans. And I remember watching Scott Norwood miss the kick in the 91 Super Bowl. Buffalo Bills, New York Giants.
Did you cry?
I fell to my knees and I cried and I put my hands in the air.
And what did you do when you saw your son crying?
yeah, I've seen him cry many times.
Right, and
Yeah.
there was no touching, no consoling.
No,
Right.
no.
Well, it's funny because when that kick missed, Bernie actually won a big parlay bet. Isn't that right, Dad?
I now that I remember that now. Yeah.
So you were crying, he was jumping for joy?
It was.
Well, he was a Giant fan also. He was crying in happy.
There were tears of joy.
Yeah.
Oh, so then was there much rejoicing?
Of course.
Yeah, I think there was a hug, maybe.
Wow.
And, you know, I think we've watched the Giants win every Super Bowl together and probably hugged after each one. Maybe that was like the 4 hugs.
Of your life with your father, each Giants Super Bowl win as you've been
Maybe
alive?
that's the name of the podcast.
Well, we only had 2.
Only 4 hugs?
No.
Only 2 hugs?
Well, they only won 2 Super Bowls.
Oh, in the time that you've been alive, Giants have only won 2 Super Bowls?
Okay, Dad. We're going to have to count the Super Bowls, but I think there's 4, right? 86, 91, and the 2 Patriots Super Bowls.
Patriots are my team, so they
Okay.
love bringing that up.
Yeah.
But we were on the subject, so.
I mean, that should be the first question. How many Super Bowls has your favorite football team won?
I only remember a couple.
So I guess the obvious question is, are you interested in drafting any Giants players this year?
I like Saquon, but I don't think he's going to fall to us at 4 on the way back, is he?
No, he's a good pick because of the fact that not only a running back, but he's like 3rd or 4th in the league running back and catching in pass receptions.
Mm-hmm.
Saquon will fall to you at 4, okay? And one
Well,
could argue
right.
that with the 4th pick overall in this year's draft, you could easily take Saquon. And I would say he's not a bad pick there.
Is that where we are, ADP? Like,
What
who else is there?
about Diggs?
Okay, you could take Diggs.
Diggs is there.
Would you rather have Stephon
What about
Diggs?
Eckler?
Yeah, you could take Eckler. Would you rather have Eckler
Oh yeah, Eckler is much better. Yeah.
than Cup?
Then Saquon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going Eckler over Saquon there.
What about Eckler over Cup?
Eckler had actually more receptions than Saquon.
That's right. He's a
As a
stud.
running back.
Yeah, I think I go Eckler over everybody there.
The other guy naturally would be Kamara, but Kamara's not going to play for a few games.
For 3 games, right?
Oh yeah, no, I can't do that.
Welcome, Michael Kelly and Timothy Brady. Welcome to our
Hey guys.
our little podcast about how would you describe it to these guys?
This is a podcast about first and foremost my dad and I, Bernie and Jason's fantasy football journey through this year. We're teaming up this year as you guys are teamed up.
Yeah, so you're our first guest because in the same league, you have been co-managers of the same football team since its inception, like 10 years?
That's right.
And yeah, so do you have any advice for these guys in co-managing since you guys do it so well?
Yeah, don't.
Okay.
Why?
I'm only kidding. I love it. It's great.
Yeah. I don't have to do much of anything, and I just get to be there for all the shit talking that goes around in the texts and the emails.
I think that's Bernie's role. Dad, you're kind of in the Michael Kelly role of this.
Correct. I'm not going to do anything.
And you have the same haircut too. So
Did you? Yes, we do, Bernie. Yours looks a little fuller than mine, I will admit.
Ah,
you have-
nice.
So wait, so you want to know what it's like to split a team?
Yeah, you guys have been splitting a team. Have you had much of control at all, Michael, over the team?
I'll give you an example real quick. Is that okay, Mikey? This is the conversation we had the other day. He says to me, "You know who we should get? We should get Bijan Robinson." And I said, "Yeah, that sounds great, but we have the second pick in one league, and we're keeping some players, so I don't know if we'll have a lot of auction money for him in the other one." And he said, "Oh, I didn't think anybody would want him."
No, I don't think I said want him. I said I didn't think that he would be as much out there on the radar, not having been an established
Right.
running
Okay,
back.
so
in
My
the league.
point is he knows what's going on, but not the intricacies of what, and that makes it great because,
Yeah. And also Michael is a Falcons fan.
right. But that's besides the
all
point.
we know anything about is about him.
And
In
is
all
that,
fairness.
is that part of the strategy
with
every year
Skinny.
is just get as many Falcons as possible?
Yeah, it was called the Kyle Pitts strategy, and that has backfired terribly.
I mean,
Yeah,
for a
but
long
then-
time it was the Matt Bryant.
Matt Ryan?
Matt Ryan.
Bryant.
Oh, the kicker.
Wasn't the
Oh, the
kicker
kicker?
Bryant? Wasn't he number 2?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
I mean, you guys had him every year. Like, it was like, that was Mike's consolation every
Just
year.
get me a Falcon.
Tim was like, we need all the good players. And Mike's like, can we have a fucking kicker from
Can't-
Atlanta?
one Falcon.
You just
I usually need one Falcon.
One
Like,
Falcon. Give
yeah,
me
young,
one Falcon.
Koo, like get that kicker. He's great.
Yeah. But beyond the strategy part, I'll be honest, like, it's great because you get to share in the victories together. Like, it's so much more fun when you win, when you get to share it with somebody.
For sure.
It's so much more rewarding. The question is this: how much input are you taking from Bernie?
Right. We established that it's close to 0.
And Bernie, you're cool with that.
I don't even want to be here.
God, I love that man.
The strategy actually could even be avoid Bernie's favorite players.
That was like the opposite. Like, ask him and then go opposite.
Is
Well,
Bernie,
tell me, Bernie,
going to the
you-
draft?
You fund the team then, correct?
And I don't do that either.
So what's your role?
Like
Seriously.
a mascot kind of situation?
He's a figurehead.
Yeah, I'm just, yeah.
He's here against his wishes and his doctor's wishes.
I can tell.
Oh my God, I didn't even notice. He's tied to that chair, Michael. Literally tied.
It is fun leading up to the games too. Like you guys will have a lot of fun. Maybe Bernie, maybe you won't want to do this, but I like the texting each other leading up to it. Like, or even during the day, it's like, holy shit, we get, you have that thing that you solo owners don't have, that camaraderie. You get to text back and forth and talk shit about what we're going to do or not do.
When we got 4th pick in the drawing the other day, I texted him immediately. I said, we got 4th pick. It's great news. And he texted back, okay.
I love that.
Just 2 letters. Like
I
2
love
letters.
that.
We wanted to ask you sports memories with your dad. I know you guys, you're Atlanta folks, and if you have any great moments, especially lately. I know you've been down there at the games a lot.
I have. I think most of my sports memories are centered around baseball with my father. Going to Game 4 of the World Series in 21 when the Braves won with my dad and my brother and my son, seeing them win Game 4. That was incredible. But I do have a great Falcons memory with my brother We went to when Michael Vick was blowing up in Atlanta, and he broke the 1,000-yard that season in rushing touchdown, and he slid right. We were standing on the sideline. Falcons were hosting us, right? They were standing on the sideline right next to the team, and he slid like right in front of us. And my brother was on ESPN that night, like in the background.
That's a nice story, Mikey.
Pretty
But this
cool.
is
So I have some great Falcons memories. Most of them though are with my brother, and most of them hammered. But those are
Yes.
yeah. That's a nice story, Mikey, but this is a father and son podcast. Their brother podcast is a different one with just Jason and Tom. So if you could read the email
Weekends
next
with
time.
Tom. Yeah, weekends with Tom.
Yeah, where we actually build something in the garage.
Weekends without Bernie. That's the other one.
Which might be episode 2 of this.
That's great. So, and Tim, your dad and you share sports memories?
You'll be shocked to hear this.
Yes, let's hear it.
But as much as my father roots for Eagles, like Philly teams, he doesn't really take precedence over them. My earliest memories are of wanting to watch the Eagles-Cowboys game on a Sunday and being up all morning waiting for it, and my dad doing nothing, and then at 12:30 deciding it's time to do yard work.
Oh,
Classic
Oh,
dad
it's
move.
such a dad move,
Classic.
and he did this all the time. And I would bitch and moan, and his concession was, and I shit you not, he had a black and white TV. He would run the cable to the backyard and be like, you can watch it while you cut the grass, which was death. That was my dad's move. It was torture.
that's not
That's
a
a
great
Bernie
memory.
move.
No, and now you know why I'm angry when I watch sports.
One of those long extension cords all the way to the backyard.
Do you
Oh,
think
my
you could
God.
co-manage a fantasy football team with your dad now?
No way.
What about you, Michael?
I would. Well, no, he knows. Other than Falcons, he's like me. He knows about the Falcons, and that's it. And I will say, like, my dad, my brother, and I are on a text chain, and we do text every single game. My dad watches every single game, and we text throughout the game, the whole game, which is kind of fun. And
Any gambling?
my dad is like the eternal optimist too. He's like, we'll lose 5 in a row, and he's like, we're gonna get them next week every time. Like, we'll be better.
That's
These
good.
guys
I mean,
are
that's where
better.
you get. Look at you. So are you.
I guess I'm a bit of an optimist. Yeah.
And Tim's lawn looks great.
Yeah. And my uncle set up a fantasy football league last year for all my family, and half of them don't play fantasy football ever, but it's like, to get together and
Family, yeah.
Yeah. And so my dad drafts all Eagles. And I got so freaking mad at him. I was like, what the hell are you doing? That's not how you do this. And then the Eagles went 16-1, and he had a really good team.
Yeah.
I was like, you knew what you were doing. He had no idea what he was doing.
You're not supposed to bet with
He's
your
like-
heart. Is that what it is?
Well, something like that. Although I bet with my heart all the time.
Do you realize that we all have a connection to the movie that we all made together, All Square? Tim Brady wrote a movie called All Square. Michael Kelly starred in it and produced it. Jason, you were loosely associated.
I was
with
on the
Editing
periphery.
and-
He was
Yeah,
on
a
the
little,
periphery doing some
sound.
little ADR
doing a
recording
post.
for
I
them.
was
Yeah,
one of the characters in it as well. And then Bernie was one of the characters, but just not.
off-screen character.
He was just.
Oh, the Bernie Gallagher, the name drop.
It's a very heavy moment, and he
Right.
bursts out.
That's-
He
That's what it
confesses
was.
to you.
Bernie Gallagher had slept with my mother,
Yes.
Yeah.
and my father got drunk,
Yeah.
left the bar, and ran him over and killed him.
That's right. And he, at the climax, blurts out, "I killed Bernie Gallagher," and it's very heavy.
and thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'd kill him again if I had the chance.
So anybody who knows my dad, we went to a screening here in LA, there was a group that is like just out loud laughing at this really serious moment because it's like, oh yeah, we know Bernie.
I got to tell you,
You're a
hell
winning
of a team.
combination.
I don't know how much this matters because we were kind of friends before, but it helps if your partner is a really, really famous actor.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
And also nominated for an Emmy for your work on House of Cards. Most people know you for that as well. I can't walk down the street with
was.
you without people yelling out Stamper.
I lost 4 times the Emmy.
You lost 4 times to Peter Dinklage, right?
Oh yeah.
I lost to Peter Dinklage twice, I think, because he.
Now, I have a question because recently you attended our friend Mark Menchaca's wedding, and Mark married from Game of Thrones, Lena Headey,
Yes.
and one of the other guests there was Peter Dinklage. I'm just wondering, was it awkward for you?
It was not. I chose to be.
Gracious.
I chose to go up to him and sat next to him, and I was like, "Hey." I didn't say it.
Did he have the Emmy with him?
Yeah,
He
did he
did.
bring it
It
just
was
to-
messed up. He had both of them.
Did he know that you were going to be there and bring
Timmy
the
has a
Emmy?
great story that Timmy told one of the best damn jokes. So I go to break up with my agent after a very long time. Wonderful, wonderful agent and sweet friend, Allison Levy. And I took her to lunch because I wanted to do it in person. And I sit down, and it was a very, we've been together a very long time. And we sit down to lunch at ABC, and I sit down, and within 5 minutes of sitting there, I've not said it yet. And I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to say it. And one table over, his guest back to me, and Dinklage is looking straight at me, and I'm looking straight at him over my guest's shoulder. He's looking over his guest's shoulder. And I tell Timmy, I'm like, so my agent, I gets very emotional, and she gets very upset, and she's crying, and I have tears in my eyes, I'll admit it. And it sucked. And I look up several times during this very long, very awkward, very awful lunch, and there's Dinklage every time I look up, and he's just like looking at me.
Oh God.
Timmy goes, it was at that point that Dinklage reached under his chair, and he pulled out his Emmy and took his napkin and was just like,
Started shining his Emmy.
and I laughed so hard, man. I was like, oh my God. So, but no, we're cool with one another. I like him. He's a good dude. And I went and said hey to him at the wedding. I was like, hey man, what's up? I said, I sat down. I was like, hey man, Michael Kelly, because he probably doesn't.
I mean, he probably didn't even know you were nominated with him. Like he doesn't care.
I think when I saw him the first time, I introduced at the first time at the Emmys that I lost him. I went up and introduced myself before our category was up. I had never met him before, and we have mutual friends. So I was like, hey, Peter, I'm Michael Kelly. He's like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. I really don't think he had any idea who I was. He doesn't.
Here's what we'll do. We'll get him in the league. We'll get him a fantasy football team. Your team will beat his team. You'll be able to hold it over him.
I'll polish that trophy right in front of him.
Our trophy is larger than the Emmy. So
It is.
It's, yeah.
Wait, Bernie used to do acting work. Am I wrong?
He was a background artist, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Very similar. You're partnered with an actor. I'm partnered with an actor.
Do you have an IMDb page?
What is that?
Exactly.
I bet he does.
I'll bet you do.
You will
I
after
do
this.
Who have you co-starred with?
Tom?
Yeah,
That's
right.
a good one.
We were on a show together.
What show were you on?
It was called Good Christian Bells.
What was Bernie's name of his character?
He was several.
I had several.
Well, when you do background, do you give yourself like a story? Do you have a name?
No. I almost did have a thing going. They wanted me to be a guest in one of the scenes in the afternoon, and they set me up in the morning with new wardrobe and hair and all that nonsense. And by the time the afternoon showed up, they canceled the scene. So
Yeah, he was going to be like a senator
He was
or
going to be
something.
like a senator or something. But there was like a costume party, and I went to go check on him, and he was in this full like cowboy outfit.
Get outta
It's
here.
Like, oh, this is priceless.
oh yeah.
Worth every penny. So we've tortured you guys enough. Thank you and goodbye. Tell us where you can be found on social media, if you want.
I think I'm Real Michael Kelly on Instagram and Michael J. Kelly Jr. on
X.
X.
Twitter X, whatever it's called. Yeah.
The guy's
Soon
a
to be
fucking
gone.
lunatic.
I know. What a
Fucking
nightmare.
lunatic. Do you like him,
know what?
Bernie?
What was that?
Do you like Elon Musk?
I don't know him.
What about Mark Zuckerberg?
They don't have any influence over how I think or what I do.
Let me ask you this. Do
Sam-
you like Mark Cuban?
I do like him for one great reason.
Why is that?
I save about 90% on my drug bills.
There you go.
What drugs?
All
I love
drugs.
Nice.
Mark Cuban owns a company called Best Pill or something like Best Drug
Okay.
or company.
Maybe we can
And
get a
seriously,
sponsorship.
Yeah.
you can.
They got Vicodin
you
on
do
that
it-
thing?
No, it can't be anything,
Okay.
But like for Lipitor and all these other type of things that people need drugs for. Some drugs I was paying $60, $70 for, and I'm paying $5 now.
Can we get a sponsor, Mark Cuban?
Yeah,
I was
that's what
gonna
we're
say,
asking
dude,
for.
there's your podcast sponsor right
There
there.
it is. It's funny because every week Bernie will say, "Hey, Mark Cuban sent me some pills. Just check the mail, okay?" Like it's straight from him, coming right into his inbox.
Does it have his return address on it?
I'm sure he's like licking the envelope.
The
Bernie
cubes?
needs these Lipitor.
Yeah, it's out of Texas. It is.
We'll just have you read the copy for Best Pill,
It's
or whatever it's called.
It's a massive corporation. I mean, they sell a ton of. Can you imagine? the
It's
savings
fantastic
for
what
people?
he's done. There
incredible.
is a billionaire who's like, I'm gonna do the good stuff. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do the right thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for
love
doing this
you
with us.
guys.
We're very green at this. We probably
Thanks for
suck
having
at this,
us.
but we appreciate you.
And maybe have us back when you figure this whole thing out.
There you go.
That's right.
Absolutely. We'll say goodbye to everybody.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Bernie?
Tally ho.
Okay, you can find us on. No, I'm just kidding. So, Bernie, what's your social media handle?
I have none.
Okay. All right. Thanks for listening.